This is the Doctor, President-elect of the High Council of Time Lords.
I am definitely a madman with a box.
Anyone for jelly, baby?
I'm the Doctor. I'm 904 years old. I'm from the planet Gallifrey in the constellation of Castobrus.
Hey Who fans, and welcome to the Big Blue Box podcast. My name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And we're at episode 97.
97.
Thank you very much. Yes, welcome to episode 97. Your TARDIS team is here to give you all the latest news, chat, waffle, merch, and all that stuff. We hope you've had a cracking week since last week. And based on last week, I hope you actually, you guys got around to watching our review episode, which was...
Well, the long game?
No, last week's.
Oh, the Sea Devils.
The Sea Devils.
God, I'm half asleep already. Boing, boing.
Yes.
Yeah, the Sea Devils. Brilliant.
Yes. It's one of those things where when because we go week to week, don't we? Classic, new. And when we've done a classic review, I always think to myself, you know, how many people listen to the show after they listened thought, yeah, I'm going to give that a go, because especially I'm not going to pigeonhole anyone, but especially the younger audience of Who, perhaps may not have ventured into the classic years as yet.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. So if you've listened to our podcast and we've gone through any of the classic stuff and you've enjoyed, hopefully that's prodded you a little bit to pick up some of the classic stuff. And the Sea Devils is a great one.
Yes, yeah. I like the thought of that. I like the thought that somebody might give that a go, sort of thing. Yeah. Like we do with like a Big Finish, I guess. We talk about Big Finish a lot on the show. And if you've not delved into that yet, dive headfirst into the awesome world of audio, Big Finish, then hopefully you've taken a step. I must admit, it's amazing. Actually, when I look at just like my Twitter feed, for example, there used to be like a sort of hardcore group of Big Finish people, and now it seems to be like almost every other tweet is like so much Big Finish on my Twitter feed now, which is great. I don't think obviously a lot of people have jumped on board, maybe because of the hiatus as well. They just need that, that Big Finish fix, that Doctor Who fix. I mean, so yeah, it's good that we've got them to tide us over. But it's rattling round though, isn't it? I mean, we're thinking a year of our Doctor Who. We're already like well over halfway through the year, so
that's true.
It's fast approaching.
Yep, and very annoying last week, because when we came round to doing the news and so on, we said to you guys, there's no news, it's very dry at the minute, there's nothing going on, and I remember saying we've normally look forward to a few set picks and stuff, and we're not going to get that. And literally minutes after we finish recording, they start putting out set pics of Pearl on set and
that's right,
Matt Luke and stuff. We're like, oh, for crying out loud, you couldn't have like put that out like half an hour early or an hour early or something. So they look quite cool. There's a video as well. There's a video of Pearl on set.
I've been quite enjoying watching these little clips, and there's been quite a lot of photos actually from the first sort of few days of shooting. It's almost, I mean, I've said this before, I'm not bothered about spoilers, but I know some people are. And without sort of giving anything away for those who haven't seen the pictures, I think there was a slight spoiler in the terms of snow, wasn't there? I was thinking, that suggests something. I'm trying to be really candid because I don't want to ruin anything for anyone.
I know what you mean.
But I mean, I'm loving it. I'm just like, oh, that could mean this is happening. And
I'm loving it.
And I'm loving it. Yeah. And Capaldi's costume, obviously we've got to see what the Doctor is going to be looking like in Series 10. And I mainly approve. I don't know about you.
Approve.
Yeah.
Yes, he's still got the big crazy hair, isn't he?
I approve of the crazy hair. I don't approve of the blimmin' hoodie thing being back.
No.
But I kind of like the way it's all become one as part of his costume in a way. So, yeah, I do approve. I think he's looking like a rocking the look so far that we've seen.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm trying not to say too much. I don't want to. I know some people just don't want to know anything, so it's difficult, isn't it? I'm trying not to say anything.
Yeah, it looks it looks very much like visually like they're finding their way. with his look and so on, because it has changed, even though he hasn't. This is what, his third series now, isn't it?
Yeah.
So in that time, his look has changed.
Massively. But if you look at Series 8 with the short hair, and he was very smart, and he sort of got a bit grungy in that in Series 9, and this is a kind of mix between the two, I would say.
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, and his hair's we went from the very short, neat hair to the big crazy hair. And there was one episode, wasn't there, where it cut back between different scenes, and you had short hair, long hair, short. What was that one? The
Flatline, wasn't it?
Flatline,
where he's
with
trapped in the TARDIS.
The little, that's right.
Yeah.
So the hair plays a big part, clearly.
He's doing a John Pertwee, isn't he? He's going more and more bouffant as the series goes on, I think.
Yeah. Did you also? I don't know whether I should say this or not.
What?
I don't think it's not a spoiler thing. But did you notice that he was wearing some sunglasses?
Yes, and my heart sank big time. But I think they were just his actual sunglasses, because I haven't seen him wearing them for filming.
They look
so I'm
very
hoping
similar,
they're just they do. They do. Yeah, I did. That's the first thing. The first picture I saw of him actually had the sunglasses and the hoodie, and I was like, no. I don't want to see either of those back. But I have a feeling they might have just been his own casual wear. Could be wrong, but yeah, I'm hoping. I'm fed up of those blooming glasses. He's got a new Sonic now. Doesn't need those silly glasses.
Exactly. We don't need them.
Yeah.
Bugger off.
And of course, we've seen Matt Lucas on set in his duffel coat.
Hello.
He's got his body back.
He has, yes. He's been reattached.
Little round body.
Yeah.
He's back.
Be interesting to find out how that's happened, or if it's a timey-wimey thing where they visit him before that all happened.
But yeah, now you see, I thought that's what it's going to be, and then someone pointed out, but he didn't know who the Doctor was when he met him, so it can't be.
Oh, true,
it's like,
Yeah.
You know what? I think the Doctor's just going to use that blimmin' new Sonic and open up that awful robot suit, and he's just going to be in there. He'll just step out in that duffel coat, and it'll be like, there you go. Solved. And I'll be like, no, surely not.
Surely not. Quite looking forward to finding out, though.
I am.
Yeah, we didn't really speak favourably of Matt Lucas's return as Nardole. But the more I see and stuff, I'm just more intrigued now more than anything to see how this whole thing has come about.
Yeah, me too. And although I just said I love spoilers, I do. I am slightly worried about getting too much information between now and next year, because we are still quite a long way off, aren't we? And I like just these little tidbits here and there. I love all that, just getting the odd little bit. But I've already sort of seen some bits where fans have filmed whole little scenes, and I'm thinking, I don't know. There's a bit of a line. I like little bits, little spoilers, but I am worried we're going to get a bit too much before it actually airs, because I've already sort of got a bit of an idea of what's going on just from what I've seen. Anyway, we'll see. But I am getting a bit of a buzz about it now. Yeah.
Yeah. Further news for us too. Sorry, go on. What was you going to say?
No, I was just going to say, and also Stephen Moffat's been. I was going to say he's been mouthing off a lot that's the wrong phrase. He's been chatting a lot recently about regrets. I don't know if you've noticed this. Seems to be quite a few articles going out where I read one this morning where he was saying that Series 7 was a really miserable time and it was really difficult, and he regretted the way he started Series 9. And I was thinking, oh dear, it's almost as if the Moff, now he's leaving, it's like he's really being reflective and looking back at what he could have done better, and which is a natural thing. I think we all do that, don't we? We always look back and think, I wish I'd have done that, or hindsight is a wonderful thing.
Exactly. Yeah, he probably feels like just like any of us, really, when we look back on things. I think a lot of people do it during their school and college years. When you look back and you think, I probably could have put a bit more effort in there, or I could have done this a bit better or whatever. But that's only natural, I guess. But it is it's a sobering thought, though, to think that, because when you and I had seen him a couple of times at things, and hear him speak about his enthusiasm and how great he thinks everything was, and to hear him now speak about it in this way, where he's potentially not very happy with how certain things went and how he handled things. It's we're only human.
Yeah, it would be interesting if he did a book like Russell T Davies, wouldn't it? Where Russell did that book where he just talked through all of his time on Doctor Who, what he had planned and all that.
Oh yeah, The Writer's Tale.
That's it. I couldn't think what it's called. Right. So I mean, no matter what you think of the Moff, the showrunner, if he did a book like that, it'd be fascinating, I think,
Oh,
just
yeah,
to know all
yeah.
the different things because he is quite adventurous in his writing as well. And I think sometimes, and he said this before, he'll have all these ideas he would love to do, but he just knows the budget won't stretch to it. So he sort of has to find a way around that, and they often get watered down and changed. And yeah, I'd be quite interested to see a book by him. I don't think we'll ever get it, but you never know.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if his last batch of stuff that he's going to put out now, so the Christmas special and Series 10 next year, whether he's going to throw a bit more caution to the wind and just go for it a bit more. And, you know, some of the stuff that he's put out, especially in the Matt Smith years, were a little bit wishy-washy, a bit fan servicey, and a little bit, you know, it's some great stuff as well, don't get me wrong, but just plenty of Moffatisms in there that weren't that great. So I'm hoping that in the new stuff that he's going to do, his last outing, if you like, he's just going to go sod it. You know, I'm just going to do this, do it my way, do it the way I want to do it. And hopefully it'll be all right. So yeah, the Moth.
Yeah, it does bring an exciting unpredictability to it. I do like that.
Yeah, it's cool. Further news.
Yeah.
You and I stopped moaning, didn't we, a few days ago?
Well, yeah. Stop moaning about one thing. Yeah.
About one thing, yeah. We after weeks and weeks and weeks of us hovering over the book button for London Film and Comic Con, we did it.
Yeah, we did it.
We did it. We manned up and just did it. So we were tweeting each other, weren't we, just for a little while, saying, "Have you done this yet?" No, I'm planning on doing it. I'm just waiting to do something. I'm going to do it. And then it would be like, "So did you do it?" "No, I'm going to do it later though."
Yeah, this has been going on for about 6 months, isn't it? Just toing and throwing. "Have you booked it yet?" "No, I'm doing it today." "Oh, okay. Have you booked it?" "No, I'm doing it tomorrow."
Yes. And I think the thing that prompted it was, I think I tweeted you and said, "Right, are we going to do this or not?" And you were like, "Yeah, I'm just going to wait because there's a big announcement. They're going to announce some big star there a few days ago." And I thought to myself, right, if they're going to do that, that might then prompt like a load of people to start booking tickets, and we'll be caught with our trousers down because we'll then go to do it and it'll be like, we're sold out again. So we did it. What was the person that they announced this big? Oh, it was Jeremy Renner, wasn't it?
That's it. Yeah,
he's quite a big one.
He is a big one. He's a good scoop for them, isn't he? I mean, I was hoping it might have been obviously a Doctor Who guest, but of course they're aiming for big Hollywood blockbusters. So I think a lot of people were really pleased with that announcement. Yeah, and it no doubt did push the sales of the tickets up, I should imagine.
Oh yeah. Yep.
So, but we got ours now. We don't have to worry. We're safe. We're in.
Yes, we're not there all weekend. We're there on the Sunday.
Yeah.
What's that? Sunday the
31st, I think. Yeah.
So if you're there out and about that weekend, you want to catch up, have a chat, geek out on some Who, let us know.
We'll be there. Did you get the afternoon ticket in the end?
No, I got the full.
Oh, you did get the full?
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
What did you get?
Because that was... Well, no, I got the full as well. Although I know I won't get there before 12. I know what I'm like. But no, I did get the full just in case they have a photo shoot early. And I need to, one that I want. There's only about 2 or 3 people I want to get a photo shoot with, but I couldn't risk it getting the afternoon one in case.
True.
Yeah. So looking forward to that.
Yeah. You been up to anything else, buddy?
No, I did get. I mean, I've got the Phantom signing coming up this weekend.
Oh yes.
With Bonnie, Peter Purvis, and
in Chiswick.
In Chiswick.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. And I also bought one for they just announced that Tom Baker's going to be at their August event. So I also bought a ticket for that. They haven't announced any other guests for it yet, but I just thought any opportunity to be with Tom again. I know I've met him a couple of times, but I just love Tom. So yeah, I bought a ticket for that. I mean, for the sake of a tenner, I just thought, just get it, go and hang out with some fellow Who fans and meet Tom Baker. Can't go wrong. So yeah. Apart from that, not too much. I haven't had a chance to watch much Who this week. I was really late watching the review ep. I've only just managed to get that watched, so it's been a bit of a busy week. Haven't managed to get much Who in. I did polish off the Vampire of the Mind, the Big Finish Master, cool. Second part of the Master Trilogy, which was good. I enjoyed that. So I've got the third part to listen to now. I think that's called The Two Masters, isn't it?
That's right. Yep.
Yes. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that brings the other two audios together. But yeah, apart from that, not much, mate. Monaural block arrived.
Oh, nice.
Which looks very nice next to the confession dial.
Oh,
yeah, pretty
excellent.
pleased with that. I have to say, Rubbertour are really good at getting their stuff out. I think that they literally arrived like 2 days later, and it was the same with the confession dial. They're pretty good at getting stuff out to you. I was thinking of doing a review of it, but I was looking at it the other day thinking it would probably be a really short review because I can't think of much to say apart from it looks really nice. I was just like looking at it, thinking I can't really think what to say about it. It's just like, yeah, it's really nice. It's detailed and nice,
And that's it. Yep.
just, so I don't know whether to review it or not. I might do, but I'll see. But it is nice, yeah.
Cool. No, it is nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. What about you, mate? You been up to any Who?
Anywho, not really. Well, yes and no. I watched a couple of classics over the past week. Last night, in fact, I watched The Five Doctors.
Dun, 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 dun. Do you know, this is such a silly thing, but I always regret not mentioning how much I love the music when we did our review of The Five Doctors, because it's one of the things I absolutely love about it is the instrumental music. But yeah, that's a good one though, isn't it? If you're in the mood, Five Doctors.
Yeah, it's great.
You can just it's
Good
just
story.
good fun, isn't it? Yeah.
Started reading through the Target book.
Oh, brilliant!
Yeah.
Yes.
I flicked through it very quickly when I first got it, and I've started to go through it now. It's a cracking book.
It is so good.
Really good. If you guys have not got this, it's the big, it's like the reissue. It's called The Target Book, A History of the Target Doctor Who books by David Howe. It's a really good read, really detailed history, loads of info. Really enjoying it so far.
Yeah, it
great.
is absolutely cracking. But I've got the original, but I am going to get that new issue as well, just to have the extra little bits and stuff. It's a cracking book, yeah.
Very good. And I've also been on a bit of a merch spree.
Oh, right.
Well, I say a spree, not really a spree, just a single item. You've heard of the Robert Harrop stuff, right?
Yeah, I love it, yeah.
Yeah, I ordered my first one, and it arrived this morning.
Really? God, that's quick.
Literally about half an hour before we started recording. And
I'm trying to guess which it is. This is really exciting because I love the Robert Harrop stuff. Well, a lot of it. And I haven't bought any of it yet because there's just so much I want. So which one have you got, I wonder?
Yeah, I took the plunge.
Please tell me it's not the 10th Doctor.
It's not.
Thank God for that. Oh, God, because
No.
he doesn't look that good. Okay, go on then.
Yeah, so I was looking through the website and I was thinking there are so many good ones. You know, they're really good. But I thought I'm going to start off quite reserved, quite conservative. And this little guy, he also featured in last week's episode. It is the Sea Devil.
Yes,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yes, he is unbelievable.
He is brilliant. Listeners, I wish you could see this. Oh, he's so good.
He's really good. I'll put some pics up on Instagram and Facebook after we've done recording. But yeah, he's just
brilliant.
He's a really good weight. You know, it's a nice little sort of weighty statue, and the detail on it is just unbelievable. So if you've not checked out the Robert Harrop stuff yet, I'll stick a link somewhere. Yeah, I think this might have just kickstarted a little expensive trend, I think. So I think I'm eyeing up either Sutek or Davros. But yeah, he looks amazing. He's really good.
Brilliant. I was going to say, because, funny enough, when we were reviewing Sea Devils last week, I was thinking, I'd love to get some, because I've only got the little 5-inch figure. But he looks brilliant.
Yeah, he's perfect as well. Like the likeness and even the eyes, you know, it's just everything is down to the tiniest detail.
I can just imagine your other half's face with you having that in the bedroom, just staring at you in the middle of the night, pointing his gun at you.
I'll put this on the headboard. just a fub. Yeah, I obviously won't do that, but
no, I'm very jealous. That is absolutely brilliant, mate. I love it.
It's awesome. Yeah. So it could be a bit expensive. I think it wasn't too bad actually. I think this one was 60 quid.
Okay, what's their postage like? Does it bump up the price like the Rubbertour, or are they not too bad?
Not too bad. No, not at all. I paid second class, and I think that was like £2.95.
And it comes all
Something
well
like that.
boxed and stuff.
Oh yeah, really well packaged. Yeah, like a out of box with loads of bubble wrap, and then he's in the proper like Doctor Who box in polystyrene and stuff. Yeah, he's fine.
Because you see, this is a slippery slope. You're right. You're going to think, well, I'll tell you what, that Sea Devil, he'd go really well with that Robert Harrop TARDIS that they did.
Oh,
and he'd look great next to Sutekh.
Yeah.
I know. Because I'll tell you, I love their stuff. There are one or two, they never quite get the Doctors right. That's the only thing we'll say. There's one or two that they just haven't quite got, which are normally the Doctors. But their other stuff looks fantastic. I'll tell you the one I've got my eye on is the Malice from The Awakening.
The Awakening,
I never would have imagined that they would do that. And he's quite limited, and they've just released him alongside Davros, I think.
Yes.
And I was looking at him the other day thinking, I'd really like that on my shelf that's about to collapse. But yeah, Sea Devil, good choice.
Yeah, it looks
very
really
good choice.
Yeah. Other than that, it's been quite a quiet week for Who.
Yes.
Other than that, So I'll stick a link to the Robert Harrop stuff, because we saw some of his stuff up close, didn't we, at the festival last year?
That's right. Yeah.
And the Doctors, especially, I don't know if you guys have seen the new 10th Doctor statue. Bless him.
Yeah.
You know, from the neck down, it's fine. The neck down is totally fine, but the likeness in the face is,
It would have been really awkward if that had been the one you'd have bought. I said I would have been like, I don't know if I would have been like sort of said diplomatically, it looks better than I thought, or whatever. I would have said, oh God, I'm sorry, Gary, it's terrible.
That's pretty bad.
But the Yeti is great. That's the other one.
The Yeti, yeah.
That's the one we saw at the
Amazing.
festival, and I wanted that one.
I want that one.
I want it.
On that one. Right, let's land this puppy.
Okay, let's do it.
And let's do some news. Adam.
Hello there.
Do you like dressing up in women's clothes?
Normally only at the weekends.
Normally at the weekends, okay.
Why so?
Why? Because one of a US clothing line called Hot Topic has bagged an award for their Doctor Who clothing line. Unfortunately for you and I, it's women only.
Oh, okay.
Unless we're into wearing dresses and all that stuff.
It's more the fact I'd never get into them. Even if I wanted to, I'd never fit into these. Anyways,
yeah. So, so over in the US, they have this association called the International Licensing Industry Merchandisers Association. You and I know it very well as Lima.
Oh, yeah.
Not very well, but we know it, actually. No, we never heard of it. So, this clothing line, Hot Topic, have won the Lima Award. And it's the Licensed Program Retailer Award for all of their Doctor Who products that they won. And they won this award back in 2014.
Oh, okay.
So they obviously lost it last year, but they're back in the saddle, and now they've got the cup. Now, the ladies, the girls, our female listeners out there, I honestly don't know if you can get it shipped over here. I honestly don't know. But I can see from a girl's perspective, it does look pretty cool.
There are some good bits. I was going to say, are these the guys that did that very fetching Sixth Doctor female outfit? It was basically the Sixth Doctor outfit, but tailored for women. Because that actually worked surprisingly well. You must know the one I mean.
Yes.
Like a very tailored with the arms missing. Really pretty good. But you wouldn't think so, but it is. I don't know if it's the same guys, is it?
Do you know what? I honestly don't know, because I don't really go onto their website very often. But yeah, I mean, some of the stuff that they do, like I said, I can see from a woman's perspective is very, very cool. Like some of the dresses that they do, and skirts and socks and vests and all stuff is really. I mean, they have got some like guys Doctor Who stuff on there, but it's not unique to them, if you like. It's just stuff that they've bought from the BBC America warehouse or whatever. But some of their own lines, some of their own licensed women's clothes. Look very cool. If you're a female Whovian over in the US representing, looks really good.
I gotta say, I checked out when you sent me this news link this morning. I checked. There's a little promotional video for it, which I checked out. I have to say that the the music on it is quite distracting and not in a good way. But
No.
yeah, there's like a little like Tom Baker scarf inspired cardigan. For example, there's which is probably, I don't know, perhaps one of the less tasteless items, but there's some rather nice sort of dark clothing with the Gallifreyan symbols on it, which is a bit more subtle, if you like. So
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I think I can imagine, if you've got the right, you could rock this look. Let's put it this way: if you're a Whovian, and
Absolutely.
yeah. Mm.
Good stuff. So another award goes to a Doctor Who themed person, stroke company, stroke association, stroke retailer, stroke delete as appropriate.
Yeah.
It's all good. And that's all for news. I really like. The only other thing that we've seen really is, like we said earlier, some of the set pics and so on from Series 10. Not really going to go into too much detail with that because we haven't really seen that much, just people in big puffer jackets in between filming scenes.
That's all right.
So yeah, that's all for news. Let's get the Daleks in though.
Yeah, they've been waiting, haven't they?
They have been patiently outside because we have got some merch to do.
Merch corner. Merch corner. Merch corner.
I don't know whether to be impressed or disgusted.
It's a bit rubbish, but it's pretty. It's very pretty.
Comics.
Can't get enough comics.
Titan comics, in fact. Yeah. It's a pretty good one due out next week. What's next week? Wednesday, the 6th of July. A crossover, a Doctor crossover story. Supremacy of the Cybermen is out next week, which starts a new story with the 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th Doctors.
Yes.
All in one story, which is good. So it's like a... obviously, because this year is the 50th anniversary of the Cybermen.
That's right.
Their introduction into Who, isn't it? So, as expected, a lot of people will be doing, the whole Cybermen thing. So Titan are no different. So they've themed this new story around the Cybermen. And synopsis is as follows. Exiled from Gallifrey at the very end of time, Rassilon, fallen leader of the Time Lords, has been captured by the last of the Cybermen. Now the Cybermen have access to time travel. With it, every defeat is now a victory. Every foe is now dead or cyberized. Titan Comics 2016 Doctor Who event, and the biggest Doctor Who story of the year begins here. So it does sound very dramatic and very TV show themed as well. Some of the screenshots that we've got... we got sent a preview of this from Titan. I haven't actually read it yet, but some of the screens that they sent over with it is got the Sisterhood of Khan. It's all very very true to the whole Gallifreyan Time War thing. So it feels very much like a Day of the Doctor, very canon, very TV show like story. It'd be interesting to see how it all crosses over with each Doctor.
Yeah.
And all the companions are there as well. So Rose, Captain Jack, some others as well, Gabby, Cindy and Alice. Now, if you don't know who these are companions that have been with some of the other Doctors in their other Titan comic stories. So they're in there as well with some of the more well-known companions as well. So once again, another opportunity for you to dive into the Titan Doctor Who comic stuff if you've not ventured there before. These have been going for a year or two now. And this also ties in sort of loosely with the Doctor Who Comics Day that Titan do every year. And this particular date for this year is a few days after, so Saturday, July 9th, will be the Titan Comic Doctor Who Comics Day, and that's when they do like these events at all the larger sort of comic book chains and so on, where they have writers and artists go and do signings and all that stuff. And I think this year they're going to add some more stuff in there. So there's going to be things like additional stories, special editions of the stories, some extra merchandise and so on. So that could be quite good. if you can get it, it's normally at the larger Forbidden Planet stores.
Yeah.
So normally the London one, Bristol, Liverpool, some of the others. If you can get out to any of those and bag some of the Titan stuff, you're more than likely, going to pick up some extra stuff to go with it as well, which is really good. So, Supremacy of the Cybermen is out next week. You can get it digitally, or you can get it in a comic book shop if that's your thing, which hopefully it is. And then a few days later, Doctor Who Comics Day by Titan.
They look very good, actually.
They look really good.
Yeah, I do like the screenshots. Okay, this was released yesterday or today, or it depends when you listen to the podcast, but Doctor Who Magazine, issue 501. So I've only just finished reading issue 500. I don't know about you, there was so much in it. It's a brilliant issue. But this one, issue 501, focuses on the Fourth Doctor himself, Tom Baker. So it's an entire issue dedicated to him. And it's basically like one massive long interview with him, split into 7 parts. And it's quite a nice idea, actually, this. They've sort of, rather than just do sort of like one big interview, they've kind of done it in different locations at different times, and spoke to different people with him as well. So that, like, for example, there's one bit where they're chatting to him, in Big Finish, and then they're talking to him in his local pub. And I'll tell you, I was reading this last night, and it is a really, really fantastic issue, because I opened it up. It comes with some art cards as well. It comes with some little extras. So it's in one of those like sleeves. What do you call that you have to sort of cut open?
Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, so it comes in a poly bag. That's the word I was looking for. Comes with 4 art cards, 2 classic mini posters, although actually it's just one poster, but double-sided, and a multi-Doctor poster, which is absolutely beautiful. So they're going to do... So you've got sort of part 1. So you've got the first 6 Doctors on this side of the poster, and I'm guessing next month you'll get the other side of it. It's really, really nice. But I opened this up last night, and initially I was thinking, a whole issue of just Tom Baker, what about all the other stuff? And I wasn't sure. But I tell you what, once I started reading this, he's so fascinating, Tom, and he's so honest as well. Like, they talk a lot about Lala Ward and stuff like that, and he's incredibly interesting, completely bonkers as you'd expect, but also very, very to the point, and gives a really great insight into his time on Doctor Who, and also as him as a person. And I'll tell you, I just can't recommend this issue enough. I really, really enjoyed reading this last night. So it's got some great extras with it. It's $5.99, and it should be in the shops now. It's pretty much got released yesterday, so
it is in the shops. Yeah, I saw it very briefly in Sainsbury's, and I wish I would have picked it up now.
It's really good.
Yeah, so I'll get that today. And it's cool that that they sort of not allowing themselves to peak at issue 500. They haven't gone back to just the standard format there. They're continuing the celebration, if you like, with another special edition, which is really good.
That's right.
And it's I'm not really. This might sound a bit weird, but I almost get a little bit upset or depressed when I read interviews with Tom Baker, because he does say some quite. I mean, if anyone has listened to the Big Finish interview that they put out a few years ago, it's called Tom Baker at 80.
Yeah,
which is a cracking interview with him and Nicholas Briggs, where they talk about his life and all that stuff. And back then, when they did that, when he was 80, he says things like, I'll be dead soon.
He does keep on about death,
and he always goes on about he's had a great life and when he's soon gone, and all that. And I think to myself, no, it's just such a heartbreaking thing to. I mean, from his point of view, it must be. I honestly can't put myself in his shoes to be able to say things like that. To sit back and just appreciate the life you've had, and now just sort of await death, if you like, and not really be worried about it. It's just another thing. But it's just heartbreaking to hear or to read in interviews with him, because he does say it quite frequently. He leans towards that thing about, all the people that are now involved in Who, and he's just sitting back and enjoy until he goes and all this. And I'm like, no.
Well, he's even had his own gravestone made, isn't he? He's got his own gravestone.
Really?
Yeah, but he said he left it at his last house. He said there's a bit in one of the interviews. He's like, I keep thinking I ought to get it shipped over, but it's too expensive, so it's still at his old house.
Oh, crikey!
Imagine who lives there now. They've probably got this blimmin' Tom Baker gravestone in the back garden, thinking, when's he going to come and get it? But that's just typical Tom Baker, though, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's quite sad in a tiny little way, to hear him say things like that, but. On the other hand, I do appreciate his more sort of celebration of life and not be sort of drawn in, worried about the whole, coming to the end of his life sort of thing. So, I'm glad you picked this up and that you enjoy it, because I'm definitely going to pick it up now.
No, I highly recommend it. Yeah, he talks a lot about the interview as well, is very good at sort of being quite, well, giving him some sort of interesting questions, the sort of things we'd want to ask him. He doesn't sort of shy away from stuff, the chap who's interviewing him. I think it's Benjamin Cook, but I might be wrong. And Tom, as I say, is very honest in his answers. He talks about some of the directors and, some of the stories that he liked and didn't like. And yeah, it was a really good read. So definitely worth picking up.
Yes, I think that is the guy, Benjamin Cook. He's very, very good, because he's the guy that wrote A Writer's Tale with Russell T Davies.
Ah, right.
Yeah, so he's very, very good at the whole, because he followed Russell T Davies around for a year or so.
Gotcha.
Writing that book as a series of email interviews. So yeah, he's really good. So I can imagine this would be a cracker as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Last up, we've got a book on the way. Now, these hardback books, they're very much the thing, aren't they, with Who? It seems like every year we get one or two of these large format hardback books, don't we?
Yeah.
And what was the one that came out last year? Was it Something Worlds?
Oh, yeah, that's right. I never did get that, actually, because there was The Vault was the year before, which was really, or maybe even the year before that. I can't remember now.
Yeah.
That was very good, the Vault book. I didn't get the other one. I can picture it now with the sort of hexagonal cutout in the front.
Yep.
Can't remember what it was called, but I didn't get it, but yeah.
Yeah, and now this year we've got one called Doctor Who, The Whoniverse, which sounds ridiculous, but it's quite appropriate, if you like. It just sounds very Whoniverse. It just sounds very, I don't know. It sounds too obvious to me, but
yeah,
it's cool though. It's got the confession dial on the front, so it's quite a modern look, if you like. And it goes through loads of different things to do with Who. It's got it goes through a load of history about Earth and the human race. It's got right back to 10,000 BC, right the way through to the Roman Empire. It's got stuff about Gallifrey and the birth of the Time Lords. It's got stuff about UNIT, which is quite cool, the UNIT era. Something called the Cyber Wars, the Wheel in Space and Revenge of the Cybermen, and Earth's Galactic Empire. So it's basically a sort of a bird's eye view of sort of Earth's empire as it rises through and is seen from space, if you like, from another point of view. So it sounds like it's packed full of stuff. Loads and loads of good stuff. It's not out until October, though, so the end of October. But you can pre-order it now on Amazon. But the only thing with these big format books, like I said, is that they can be quite pricey.
Yeah.
So I remember when what was that other one called? It looked like a really good book, but I think it was like £40 or £35 or something. But yeah, so this one at the moment, a pre-order is £35. But I can imagine that if you walk into a shop, it's probably going to be $39.99, I would have thought. But they are quite good. I mean, it's yeah.
Is that the finished cover? Because it looks a bit bland, doesn't it? It's just literally just the confession dial on the front and nothing else, isn't it?
I believe it is.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's Justin Richards. It's Justin Richards and who's the other guy? I mean, Justin Richards has done quite a lot of Doctor Who books recently. George Mann. I'm not so familiar with him, but
George Mann. Yeah. What was that other book called? Oh yeah, Impossible Worlds.
Oh, I was just trying to find it while you were looking. Yeah, you got it, have you?
Yeah. So I mean, it's definitely worth. I mean, if they do look very good, they're really good sort of coffee table books, and they do look nice on the shelf as well. But yeah, I mean, I tend to wait for these to come down a bit. I mean, that Impossible Worlds book, I'm pretty sure it's about £20 on Amazon now.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
It was anyway. A few weeks ago, it was 20 quid anyway. So this is likely, like all things, after the time they come down a bit. So if you're really into like really glossy, nice looking books, this will be for you. However, if you want to bag it a bit cheaper, just give it a while, I would say.
Yeah, because the Vault book came down very quick. And that's a really good book, actually, Vault. But I remember seeing it in like the works not that long after release thinking, blimey, they've got it already. Yeah, so it's worth hanging on.
A lot of places were selling that for £5.
I know, yeah.
Which is, they must have printed like millions of them.
They just obviously overdid it.
Yeah, and thought, we need to get rid of these. But so these books are very good. They are good. But yes, a little bit pricey, but if you don't mind coughing up the dough, be a good book.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's going to do for news and merch. Adam, my good fellow, what are we doing this week?
Right, set the TARDIS controls for Satellite 5. It is Satellite 5, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we are reviewing The Long Game.
The fourth great and bountiful human empire, and there it is, planet Earth at its height. My watch must be wrong. No, it's fine. It's weird.
It's what comes of showing off. Your history's not as good as you thought it was.
My history's perfect.
Well, obviously not.
Something is wrong. I can taste it.
Engage safety.
Someone down there shouldn't be here.
Who controls Satellite 5? And Spike.
Ooh.
All kicking off.
It's all kicking off. Fantastic.
Yeah.
The Long Game. Right, this one was came out back in 2005, obviously, being part of the Eccleston series, in May, to be precise. 7th of May. This was written by RTD and was directed by Brian Grant. Stars, obviously, Mr. Eccleston, Billy Piper. Adam Mitchell is the sort of third wheel companion played by Bruno Langley. And then we've got like relatively small support cast. One of them being notably Simon Pegg.
Yes.
So The Long Game. Story is, if we remember back to the story Dalek, which is a great story, actually. You and I reviewed
Brilliant story.
A while ago.
Yeah.
The Doctor and Rose, they pick up Adam. I think Rose feels a bit sorry for him, and offers to take him with them on their travels. So he's like part of the TARDIS team, albeit for a very short amount of time. Yeah. So it's a typical adventure. They want to show off a little bit. So they've gone into space as usual, and they arrive on this huge satellite consisting of 500 floors, more or less, and it's the premise is at this point in Earth's history, it's like the human race is like at its peak, if you like. Sort of technology and industry has got to a point where the Earth is now covered in like huge, big mega cities and structures, and they're out in space and all this stuff. So it's meant to be, at this point in time, the human race has really advanced and stuff. However, the Doctor senses that really they should be even further than this. So he feels that something isn't right. And it turns out that this Satellite 5 is actually just a giant sort of rabbit hutch, if you like, for this this huge alien, which is essentially sort of manipulating the sort of thoughts and the progression of human race at the minute, because everything on Satellite 5 obviously gets beamed down to Earth. It's being sort of controlled by this alien, and I'm not going to attempt to name it until a bit later.
Damn. I thought you was waiting for it.
How to say it. And so the Doctor and Rose, they realise it's not right, so I'll go off to investigate. Adam is worse than useless. He doesn't really do much apart from get himself into all sorts of trouble. Yes, in the end, it comes down to quite a simple resolution, really. Doctor and Rose, they're sort of trapped. They can't really do anything, and it's down to one of their sort of new friends. He sort of jumps in the hot seat, sort of saves the day.
Yes.
That's really the story. Off the bat, what do you reckon to this one, mate?
This is a bit dull, actually.
Bit dull.
One. Yeah, it really does take its time getting going. I found it quite boring for the majority of it, to be honest with you, which is a shame because it's got Simon Pegg in it, and I absolutely love Simon Pegg. So when I heard he was going to be in Doctor Who, I was like, oh yes, superb. But no, I'm not really a fan of this one, and it's possibly because I really, really like Eccleston's era. I love this series of Doctor Who. I mean, even the episodes that are slightly under par, I think have got a lot going for him. But this one just, trudges along a bit. Feels like a bit of a slog. So not really a fan of it particularly. There's some good stuff in there. There are some bits I like. But overall, I just found it a bit dull. Bit of a filler ep. What about you?
Oh, okay. I absolutely love this story.
Do you?
No, I'm joking.
Oh, phew.
Do you know what? I don't really mind it too much. I don't mind it, but I'm at the same time, I'm like you. I feel like it's a bit of a filler episode.
Yeah.
It's and I think the reason why it's quite there are two things for me on this. The first one is we're huge fans of Eccleston's Doctor.
Yes.
And we're huge fans of Series 1. And when you have a very strong series, mostly strong series, it's very easy to pick fault in the ones that aren't quite as strong as, some of the other stories.
Yeah.
And the other thing is it's sandwiched in between two really, really good stories of that series.
That's true. Yes, it is.
So when you look at it, so say if you're on a bit of an Eccleston marathon and you're watching Series 1 from start to finish, you come out of Dalek, which is an amazing story, and then you watch this and you're like, oh, maybe is this the point in the series where things start going downhill? But then after that, you watch Father's Day and you're like, wow, that's a cracking story. So this one sort of gets forgotten because it's engulfed by the two around it.
It does.
Which is not necessarily a bad thing because it's a testament to how good, the rest of the series is.
Yeah.
But this as a standalone, and it is completely standalone. It's got no connection to anything else really. I know that this does pop up again later on in the series, but this is just an isolated turn of events.
The stories, I was going to say, it's going to say it's connected in a sense. It's connected to End of the World and the finale, but in the sense of story, it's totally isolated story, isn't it? Yeah,
the story itself is completely on its own. You don't have to know about the whole bad wolf thing and all that
I kind of like that. So it's one of the things I do like about it is it's got that little nod to the other ones without actually having any relevance to it. I quite like that. Yeah,
it's pretty good. Okay, let's talk about. I don't know where to start with this one. It isn't the thing of this story is it's not. It's extremely paint by numbers to me.
Yeah,
like in an extreme sort of example because there's nothing that it doesn't push in any direction, if you know what I mean. It doesn't really focus on one particular thing, and it's got no connection to the series story arc. So it sort of goes through at a reasonable pace. It doesn't move fast. It's not really a laggy story. It just sort of trundles along, but it doesn't really focus on anything. So we have the Doctor and Rose who they're not really on fire. I wouldn't say they're not sort of hugely funny. They're not. I mean, the Doctor has some quite nice little moments in it, but as a TARDIS team, if you like, they're sort of average in it together.
Yeah,
nothing amazing happens, and then we've got this other guy, Adam, who's just ridiculous. But then, like the people who they interact with, it's a very small cast actually. The couple of people that they interact with, don't really contribute much apart from Kathika at the end. But up to that point, they're just a little bit forgettable in terms of characters. And then the monster itself is. I guess it's a bit threatening at the beginning. Well, about halfway through, when Suki when she gets promoted, quote unquote, and she goes up to the 500th floor, and so you could say it's a little bit threatening there. But overall, it's just like a big bit of Play-Doh
with teeth,
and a couple of weird positioned eyes. I think they're eyes or they're blowholes or I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
You know what whales have on their back,
I know.
so they can breathe. That's what they look like. And it doesn't it's not one of those stories where you have like this, where the doctor's really up against the ropes, because even when they're sort of they're chained up and they can, I think it's meant to make you feel like they're in real danger. Even when they're chained up, Rose is just sort of standing there, sort of looking around, not really bothered by anything going on. She's she's completely unfazed, and the doctor's like, there's no real sort of sinister looming bad thing going to happen. And in the end, the monster just explodes.
A bit like Cassandra, isn't it? I forgot. It reminded me very much of that. It's just pops.
And then they drop Adam off and then they go. So it's just one of those stories to me where it's like, they just following. It's a bit like a newsreader following a prompt. There's nothing real. There's no sort of emotion there. There's no enthusiasm and originality. It's just, read the lines, paint the numbers, and then on we go.
I gotta say, I think you've hit the nail on the head. Well, you found the right word when you say plod, because that's. I just found the pacing so lax. It just plodded along. I wasn't really engaged in it at all. There's nothing. I mean, I was thinking if Simon Pegg wasn't in this, because he's not even in it that much. But I like Simon Pegg so much that I did enjoy it when he was on screen. But I was thinking, God, if he wasn't in this, there's really not a lot else in this keeping me watching. There's no threat, there's no sort of danger. You've got Adam just wandering around, getting his implant in his head or whatever. There's really not a lot going on until the sort of last probably 5 minutes when it all kicks off and goes mad and then wraps up. So I found the pacing really off on this. I found the direction really boring as well. Who was the director?
The director was Brian Grant.
I thought the direction and pacing were the two biggest issues with this. And also the look of it. It looks so cheap. And it looks like the sort of budget episodes that they have in a series, like where they've got to use the same set and redress it. And, it looked really, really cheap. And it's such a shame because you've got such a big sort of guest star in this with Simon Pegg. You've also got Tamsin Greig in it. Tamsin Greig, who's, she pops up in quite a lot of things. So you've got two sort of fairly well-known faces in this, but particularly Pegg. I mean, I don't think we'd get Pegg now, do you? He's sort of, he was quite a big star then, but he's a really big star now because of Star Trek and that. I don't think we'd get Pegg in Doctor Who now, do you think?
I think we would. I think he's because
he's a fan?
Yeah, I think he's the type of guy that would do it. Although he is a big star now, I think he still would, but obviously,
he's wasted in it though, isn't he?
Back
he's
then,
completely
wasted. Yeah, I mean, he tries to play Mr. Bad Guy. He's like he's kind of like sort of the old Inspector Gadget, sort of real bad guy who's just sitting in the chair, overseeing all the evil, dastardly plans and stuff. Sort of rubbing his hands together with sort of evil intent. When it turns out he's just a puppet, really, and he just works for the bank.
That's right.
He just works for the bank and he's just trying to get the maximum investment back, and it sort of dilutes his importance and his sort of sinisterism.
It's almost as if they felt like they needed a big monster in it, and he wasn't. So they got to have this other thing in the roof of the spaceship. It doesn't make any sense to me. So
I mean, I know what you mean about pacing as well. I mean, it does sort of. I mean, it doesn't. To me, it doesn't lag. It's not one of those things. It's not one of those things where I felt, oh wow, this scene's gone on for like way too long. It does move. It's just, it feels like it's being forced to move. It's like the way that certain scenes are cut together. It's almost like they had to cut them that way because if they didn't, then it would lag. It would feel quite boring. So the editing is done in a way where it feels like it's a modern, quickly paced, Doctor Who episode, but in reality, it's just, I think it's forced that way.
Yeah.
And one of the things that really is quite disappointing for me is if you watched the special features on Series 1, I think back then they called it Doctor Who Confidential.
Yes.
Which was really good. Really good to sing. And there's an interview between Russell T Davies, I think Julie Gardner was there as well, and they were talking about the script for this episode. And Russell T Davies went into quite a lot of depth about how difficult it is to write a script where even the simplest of things. So in this case, when they land on Satellite 5, it feels deserted, doesn't it? But then when I assume the lunch bell goes off, it all sort of bursts into life, and there's like food stalls and people buying stuff. And Russell T Davies was saying that like in order to make like a real intricate, believable sort of setting for a story, you need to really figure out like each individual little character, what their purpose is, what their job is, what their life is. You need to imagine, you know, people walking around with currency in their pocket and all this stuff. But when you actually get to the episode and watch it, there's none of that stuff in there. It all feels really, everything just seems like it's secondary to something else, but nothing has priority.
Yeah, that scene feels like time filler to me. The
Exactly,
bit where they're
yeah.
all, you're thinking, oh, what's this? Yeah, move on. Because that's also, he does that again in Gridlock, doesn't he? Doesn't he have this scene the same where everyone starts opening up or is there
Yes.
like a food
Yeah, no.
van? Because I was thinking, like, as soon as I was watching that, I was thinking, this reminds me of Gridlock.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah.
So the way that, if you hear Russell T Davies describe it in Doctor Who Confidential, if you watch the features on there, it almost makes you look forward to this story, because you think, wow, there's going to be like all these interesting characters, and the Doctor and Rose are going to mingle up, you know, it's going to be this very intricate setting and everything. But when you get to it, it's just very lackluster, and it's very, I mean, there's only one little food stall in the middle of this like hall, and there's like a few people with like McDonald's milkshakes, you know, sitting at a table with, I don't know, it's very much like, if you've ever seen this old Star Wars documentary called, I can't remember what it's called now. It was like a 2.5 hour documentary about the original trilogy.
Yes, on the
Empire of
DVD.
Dreams, it's called.
Yeah.
Empire of Dreams. And there's a bit where Luke Hamill's saying that they were really looking forward to the cantina scene because George Lucas had described it as this like really bustling environment for all these crazy different aliens. And when they actually got to the set, they were like, oh, well, this isn't very good at all, is it?
No.
And it's almost exactly the same thing, where it feels like it was talked up really big before. And then when they actually got to do it, they were like, yeah, we haven't really got the money to do all this stuff anymore, so we're just going to have to go with this. And it's like that for the majority of the episode to me. It's like the cast is extremely small, isn't it? We've got two characters who the Doctor and Rose bump into, which is Kathika and Suki. And then we've got Simon Pegg and then the nurse.
Yeah, that's Tamsin Greig, yeah.
Yeah, and that's it. I mean, we've got Adam's mum at the very end. She's in it for like 15 seconds, though. And that's it. That really is it.
Is the nurse supposed to be a robot or sedated or something? Because Tamsin Greig, she's quite good normally at doing those sort of spiky, vicious characters. But she seems to be underplaying this one. Like, she almost seems like she's trying not to be human or something. She's really like talking like I'm not really a person, if you know what I mean.
Right. No, I didn't really get that. No, I don't think she's meant to be a robot. But I was uncomfortable with those scenes.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why, because when Adam goes in to inquire about this, because he goes up there just to have a nose around, I think, at first, and she sort of really sort of plays the salesperson and sells it to him that he needs this, you know, brain surgery thing. But the way that she does it, she's very, very flirty and very, very forward with him. You know, she's giving him the eye a lot. She's like, I don't know. She's got
like the money chip rubbing it on his shoulder and all that. Yeah, I know. It's a little bit
and
creepy.
I was like, I mean, I know he's not a child in it. He's not a kid. But, you know, I don't know. I just found it a bit like, this isn't, I don't want to see this. You know, I don't know.
And then it's made worse by having the sick ice cube.
Oh, God, the vomit.
I was like, what? Yeah. The vomit cube? I'm like, oh, God.
Yes. No. So, I mean, I don't know if you can think of anything else. I mean, because I don't want to bash the episode too much, because, we always try and find something decent, you know, to go on. But the other thing, you know, before we get on to some potential good stuff about it, is the way that the alien is. I don't, you know, the bit where Suki gets promoted and she goes up to the 500th floor and she's having a look around and she can see these skeletons outside and so on. when Simon Pegg's character, what's he called? The editor.
The editor,
yeah. He's just like quizzing her and stuff. And we have another wasted opportunity there because it turns out that she's some kind of sort of spy, if you like.
Yeah, she's like a secret agent sort of thing, almost, isn't she?
That's right, yeah. And that's completely wasted. That could have been a really good sort of intersection with, it almost could have been like a Rose and Adam doing silly stuff episode, and Suki and the Doctor sort of team up because she's obviously there for the reason that, something isn't right. The Doctor knows that something isn't right. We could have had a cool little team up there. So we find out that she's this agent or spy, whatever. Then she gets killed instantly, and that's it.
Yeah, she's immediately plugged into the computer.
Yeah, so that's like a little wasted opportunity I felt there.
That's a good point, actually. And I quite like Peg in that scene as well, because he's like, so let's start with your name. Lies. And he seems to be sort of finally getting into a bit of character in that scene. But yeah, like you said, and then it's just over and done with. She's plugged in and off we go.
Yeah. That's it.
A bit of wasted potential there.
Yeah. So let's, there's not really anything else to talk in terms of story. The story is quite simplistic, and like we said, it plods along, and this alien, I will try and say it. It's the...
Go on.
The Jagrafess?
Yeah.
Oh, let me look at that. Hold on. Yes, the Jagrafess. This supposed thing that's, controlling.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the whole thing.
Oh, no, I can't, because that...
I thought that's what you're building up for. The mighty... Because imagine how many times did Simon Pegg have to do takes for this? Because he does have to say it, doesn't he? The mighty Jagrafess of the holy Hadrajasic Maxadrenopho, or Max for short.
Max for short,
I haven't said any of that right, but can you imagine how many times he would have had to have said that in like really quick?
Yeah. And to fair play to Russell T Davies, he does like these very long alien names. What's the
Flax Victorious?
What's the home planet of the Slitheen?
Raxacorifallapatorius. This is where listeners are screaming at us.
Yeah, I think that's right. So yes, and they do sound quite cool, but yeah, so this Jagrafess thing, or Max for short, just didn't seem... I mean, it's quite inconsistent as well, because the bit where Suki does go up there and she gets killed by it, she turns around and looks up, and then this thing obviously does something to her. But there's like a whole sort of 5-6 minutes where the Doctor and Rose are standing directly beneath it.
Yeah.
And it does nothing.
No.
So it's quite inconsistent.
And what does it do? Because you sort of looks like it eats her, but then the next thing you know, she's sort of a zombie at the computer desk. So we don't really know what it does to people.
Yeah, because the threatening thing that they made about this is the big gnashing teeth.
Yeah.
So it clearly doesn't eat people. So I don't know.
Yeah. I don't like. I know we're going to move off negativity in a minute, but I'm just going to say I don't like the design of it at all. And I think it looks like a blob of, like you said, a blob of Play-Doh with teeth. It's rubbish.
Yes. Yeah, it does look, like a Play-Doh that's been sat in oil for a couple of days. Right, let's talk about some good stuff, shall we?
Yeah.
I quite like the, like I said, I quite like the premise, like the idea of having this real populated, interesting community going on this satellite. That's quite good. Because it just provides loads of opportunity for decent characters and story. So I like the idea. I really like the episode as a concept, if you like. And I don't want to go back to negativity. It's just a shame that it wasn't executed better.
Yeah.
Because you could have had that really cool thing where there was like sort of shady looking characters over there. There was like other people doing stuff, and Rose or Adam gets, chatting to these other people, but it's really isolated with just them.
And there's no aliens or monsters, is there? Because they make a point of saying that, don't they? She says something about, we had to keep the numbers down. But you're right, they could have had a bit more of like the alien, bit like in, maybe that's because they did it in End of the World, where they introduced all the aliens. Perhaps they didn't want to repeat, but it does feel like it needs a few more characters in there to sort of flesh it out a bit. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I really like the and something that I wish I could do, where the Doctor goes to the cash point, sonic screwdriver, unlimited credit. I thought that was very cool.
I liked that. Yeah, I was thinking the same. I think I might try that next week with the 12th Doctor Sonic.
How much of a lunatic
just
would you
standing
look?
outside and, Nat West.
If there's a long line of people behind you, they see you got out this thing.
Wearing
and you're like,
wear your scarf as well, Tom Baker's scarf. Oh, he's one of them.
Yeah. If you just getting sort of led away by a member of staff, like, come on, it's all right.
Yeah, try it on this one. Yeah.
So that's very good. And I liked I liked some of the other concepts where you could have sort of this surgery on your head, and you could sort of beam into your brain like knowledge, like vast amounts of knowledge, like straight into your brain sort of thing with this little, and then that's it. I mean, we'll come on to the whole clicking thing and how much of a crappy ending it made in a little while. But I do like I like that idea as well. That's quite.
I was going to say, if I'm going to give a positive about this episode, I'm not sure about that concept, but it is interesting. But the sort of best part of this episode for me actually does evolve around the fact that Adam is just being this little can't think of a word that isn't a swear word, but basically he's just out for his own gain.
Yes,
and he's he's going to use this to sort of help himself. I liked that. It brought something a bit more interesting to the story, because you're sort of thinking, what's he going to do, sort of thing, and you just know that he's going to cop it when the Doctor finds out. And I do love not the bit that you're on about, not the very last comical gag, but I do love the bit where the Doctor drops him off and is just like, goodbye. That's how the Doctor deals with people that are selfish, and but I like that part of the story of Adam, just going off to get him, because he's basically trying to fill his head with knowledge so he can take it back to Earth with him, isn't he, and become rich. And
he was working for Henry Van Staten for too long.
Yeah,
that's the problem. So he is out for his own selfish gains, isn't he?
Yeah, and I think that's quite interesting. I like that, because I suppose if you go off travelling the Doctor and he's kind of just taken off on a whim, you could sort of, if you put yourself in his shoes, you might succumb to the greedy side of taking advantage of things. So I like that. I like that idea. Yeah.
There was a funny little moment with Rose where the Doctor's clicking his fingers and making his head open, and Rose looks like she's going to say something nice or important, and then she clicks her fingers and she's like, sorry, I couldn't. That was quite funny,
because I was thinking surely the Doctor wouldn't leave him on Earth with that, but I do like the way the Doctor uses it against him to say you're going to have to keep your head down and keep yourself out of trouble, otherwise you're going to get dissected. And he's like, oh god, oh no. And I thought that's quite a good way to get around it, because I was thinking, how can he possibly leave him with this thing, so that's quite good.
And then I like the way that the set was done up on the 500th floor. So we go from very warm, sort of
loads of colour,
humid, very bright oranges and yellows and reds and stuff, up to like this very icy blue, dark purpley kind of thing. And it does make you feel quite cold. It's
Peg looks cold, doesn't he? With his...
So they do that quite well. Like I'm not saying the sets themselves were amazing. They were quite basic, because they clearly didn't want to throw too much money at this one. But the difference between the rest of the satellite and going up to that one is a really good sort of difference between the two.
Yeah. They're promised it's gold up there as well, so it's quite good when Suki gets up the top and it's like she's almost like she's on the wrong floor, because it's so like you do sort of feel that awful emptiness and darkness and coldness when she's up there, because she's expecting it to be all grand and gold, isn't she? But so that's quite good.
Yes. And also I think they could have, I don't know if you've read anything about this or jumped on Wiki or anything about this, about the story, but Russell T Davies did say that originally he wrote this story purely from Adam's perspective. And when you look on I think it's the special features or the commentary or whatever for this, the director does say that like the earlier scripts and all that stuff, the reason why Adam was so selfish and out to sort of absorb all of the information and stuff is because his dad had suffered from like an incurable disease or something. So that was his motivation for, learning all this stuff, so he could potentially go back and, sort his dad out.
Right. Well, that would have been more interesting because it would have given it a bit more substance, I think.
Exactly, yeah. And I think that having continued with that concept of filming this from Adam's perspective and then throwing in that motivation as into why he's after all this knowledge and is out to get all this stuff is because his dad's got some incurable disease and wants to help him. That would have been a bit more, I could have dealt with that.
And it would have fleshed out Adam's character a bit more because obviously Adam comes in for quite a lot of stick, for being rubbish. But we would have cared slightly more.
Exactly, yeah.
So why did that get dropped? You got to wonder, why did they simplify it?
It's all kind of hidden behind sort of red tape and politics, really. But it just we're not really sure why, because the production team were quite baffled as well as to why the script was rejected and Russell T Davies wanted to change it and so on, because everyone sort of bought into the idea and thought it was quite good.
Yeah.
But then Russell Davies just came back and with a new script and was like, we're doing this now.
I wonder at what point Peg come on board as well, because I'm thinking it seems such a if you knew you were going to have Simon Pegg in Doctor Who, wouldn't you? I'm trying to think, would he have fitted better into another story? Like, was it just that they sort of slotted him in, or was he in mind when Russell first sort of wrote this story? It'd be interesting to know, actually. Because like you said, it's, if you had all these sort of grand ideas, because it doesn't feel very grand, and you'd expect sort of Simon Pegg to be in one of the better, bigger budget episodes, not this one that's clearly a bit of a filler, for want of a better word.
Yeah, well, Simon Pegg's very... not intentionally quiet, but this isn't one of the things that he brings up too often.
No.
You know what I mean? It's not like, in interviews and stuff, it's like, tell us about,
the long game.
Tell us about some of the cool things you've done on TV. He doesn't bring this up. And I've read his book as well, Nerds Do Well.
Yeah.
And he doesn't mention it in that either.
Mm.
So, whether that's a case of he's just not too happy with how it turned out and so on, or if he just genuinely, thinks about bigger things in Doctor Who, I'm not sure, but it's not one that he shouts about.
No, it's just interesting when you say about, Russell's original concept and ideas. Perhaps, I just wonder if it was supposed to be a bit more grand at some point. Yeah. Yeah,
it's a shame because with those two things, thrown into the script, we could have had more of a connection with Adam. We might not have thought of him as just a weedy, stupid little idiot, who's getting himself into trouble and almost, ruins the day. If we had a bit more sort of insider knowledge as to why he was doing it, could have been a different episode.
Do you think if Chris had done another series, do you think he would have ever gone back to meet Adam? Because I'm just wondering, because we only get him in 2 stories, don't we?
Yes.
That's it. Yeah, so we don't really get a chance to sort of know much about him, and he's not fleshed out that much. But I don't know. Wonder if Russell would have I have a feeling Russell might have brought him back if he'd done another series.
Yeah, because it's there for the taking. We've got a character that's been affected by the Doctor's travels and adventures and so on. So he's there ready for.
Can you imagine fandom? Just like we are now with Nardole, they'd have been like, no, not Adam, coming back for series 2. No.
Yeah, that wouldn't go down well, would it?
I don't think so. No.
Maybe in a Big Finish one day. But until then, yes, he's locked away with a big hole in his head. Rightio, let's speak about some of the cast members. Right, so the nurse then, Tamsin Greig.
Creepy.
Creepy, and not in a good way for me.
No, not at all.
And I'm probably being completely stupid there. No, any of our listeners are like, what are you talking about? I've not noticed that before. But for me, I just feel like it was just not anything wrong at all. Don't get me wrong. It's nothing sinister or, bad intent or anything like that. I just found it like a little bit uncomfortable because of the clear sort of age difference. And he does look very young in it.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Bruno Langley at this point in his life, he is very young still, pudding-faced. And she's all over him like a rash, She's very flirty, and like you said, she's like rubbing the thing up and down, and I'm just like, no, that just doesn't work for me.
Yeah, I agree. It is a bit creepy. I must admit, I'm not quite as bothered about it as you, but I do take your point. I do see what you mean. It is a little bit grossed out, but I'm more disappointed in her performance because I quite like Tamsin Greig. I really like her in like episodes, and which is the TV series episodes. I mean, not episodes.
Oh, with Matt LeBlanc, yeah.
Matt LeBlanc, yeah. I always think she's got quite a good way of being serious, but giving a comedy performance. So I don't know. She just seems to be holding back in this. Again, could be down to direction. I don't know, but she's just not very good in it, and I think it's a shame because I know she can be good. So yeah, you're right. Instead of being sort of this sort of quite potentially comical nurse or whatever, she just comes across as a bit creepy.
Yeah.
So she's not great in it. So again, it's a bit of a waste of quite a good actress, I think.
Yes, I agree. What about Suki, the undercover agent who finally gets promoted but then meets her demise?
Yeah. Well, I think you summed it up earlier, actually. We had a potential for a good character here, but we don't really get to see much of that at all. In fact, it's only really that shot, isn't it, of her in the army gear with the gun gives us an insight into her sort of true character, which we don't really get to know. So the actress is fine, actually. I think she's not too bad. Anna Maxwell Martin is the actress. She does okay what she's given, but it's just that the character's not particularly strong, I don't think.
Yeah.
I do love it when she grabs the editor at the end, though. That's the best bit, when he thinks he's escaping and she just grabs his leg, because she's sort of zombified by that point, isn't she? She just sort of does it like a reaction. That's quite good.
Yeah. Yes, I totally agree. Again, if we'd have just seen a tiny weeny bit more backstory with her, maybe fleshed her character out a little bit, so that even if we did have the reveal that this is what she's up to, it just wasn't over so soon.
Yeah, and there's plenty of room for it in the story. That's the annoying thing. There is plenty of room for all this stuff, because it could have done with a bit more content. So it's a shame. Yeah.
Yes. Kathika, Christine Adams, who plays quite an important role at the end.
Yes.
But quite annoying, I found.
Yeah, I thought so. She's a bit theatre in her performance as well. I thought not particularly great at the acting. She's better in the second half of the episode, though. She sort of does come good at the end, I think. But yeah, no, I wasn't over impressed with her.
Do you know what? It's almost like a switch with that character, because I found her quite annoying, like in how she came across to the Doctor.
Yeah.
And then it was almost like, about halfway through, it's like a switch went off and her character seemed to change almost all of a sudden, where she went from this person that just wanted to be kept out of trouble and just really do everything she can so that she got this promotion, and quite selfish. And then almost like a switch going off, she's like, oh yeah, I'll kind of help you with this now. And even though she's like, we shouldn't be doing it and we're going to get in trouble, she sort of turns instantly.
Yeah, I was going to say I think she's better when she's like that. But yes, I found it quite annoying for the majority of it. Yeah,
yeah, and she does sort of give it the beans. That bit at the end where she's sat in the chair and she's sort of fighting back against the system, if you like.
Oh yeah.
And then they try and stop her, and she's like really sort of intense. She's like, no, you don't. She sort of carries on. So almost in a sacrificial way. She's almost realised that the whole thing's a bit of a sham, so she's just like nothing to lose and she's into it. So
yeah,
that was quite good. Didn't mind that. It's just up to that point she was just a bit meh.
Yeah.
Righto, what about Simon Pegg then, the editor?
Well, I do like Pegg, and I do think he's still decent in it, but he could have been a lot better. Again, just a wasted potential. I hate to keep using that, but that's all I could think of to say about him, because he's perfectly good when he's in it, and he's sort of giving a fairly standard Simon Pegg performance, but he doesn't reach any level of greatness, unfortunately. It's probably the best way I can put it.
Yeah, and that's an unfortunate thing.
Yeah,
about this particular episode is that there is a few real wasted opportunities, and Simon Pegg's probably the biggest of them all.
Yes.
Because he didn't need his character and his, the way that they could have written him in the story. He didn't need to be governed by this big, stupid gloop of an alien.
That's right.
They could have made him like the main threat and the main baddie.
See, that's why I wondered how far into the writing process he came on board, because that's what I feel. He kind of feels like he's been slotted in rather than actually being the focus of the episode. Yeah,
yeah, and he ends up ultimately just being a translator.
Yeah,
for that, for the Jagrafess, and that's a huge waste because there were a few moments. I can see the way that he played this character as well. He did this bad guy thing where he's very smiley and laughy, which at times makes characters even more threatening when they're like that. So I can see the road he was going down with it. But he just didn't really put himself into it enough. There was, even though you could, at face value, yes, he's a bad guy. But there was nothing that he did really. And the way that his performance in it, there was nothing that I thought, wow, this guy is a bad seed. He means business. There was none of that. He was just very, like you said, when he had that good scene where he's sort of interrogating Suki and he's like, what's your name? And he's like, lie, that was quite good the way they did that. But the rest of it was, he was just a translator for the big gloopy thing.
He's a bit of a puppet, really.
A puppet,
just
exactly.
A puppet. Yeah. It's a shame.
Yeah, I mean, an actor such as Simon Pegg doesn't need that. If they reworked that so he was the main villain orchestrating all of this, and they wrote him a slightly better script, it would have been hugely, much better episode. And he just doesn't need all that stuff. I mean, even back then, when was this? 2005. Even back then, he had done a decent amount of things and, great actor and had done some really good stuff. So he didn't need it all. He just didn't need all the faff.
Because I'm thinking of like Spaced. I absolutely love the TV series of Spaced. So it's just so good. So yeah, it was disappointing. I think when I heard he was in it, I was like, oh wow, brilliant, absolutely. He's one of those actors as well because he's a fan of the show. You just as soon as he's announced as being in it, you sort of think perfect for Doctor Who.
Yeah.
So yeah, it is a shame we didn't get something a bit better written for him, I think.
Yeah, and someone like Simon Pegg who has grown up on sci-fi. So if Simon Pegg, has publicly said many times that he's just a complete and utter, self-confessed geek about anything.
Yeah.
He's a massive Star Wars fan, really big Doctor Who fan. So he gets it. He really gets science fiction. So he's not like one of these actors who they've got in who has done Casualty or The Bill, or, those sorts of things. And they have to sort of explain it and get the concept into the head. I think Simon Pegg's one of these people that just instantly gets sci-fi and doesn't need all the crap that comes with it. If you give him a good script, just sit back and enjoy the show sort of thing.
Yeah, so, exactly. He could have been electric in it. He could have been absolutely, phenomenal.
So, he wasn't terrible. Got no huge complaint really. It's more towards how he was written in, and he could have been a bit more sinister. I felt he could have been a bit darker with it and a little bit more scarier.
And also, I think it's interesting because I always forget really most of the time that he's even in Doctor Who. Like when I went to put this on, I didn't think, oh, this is the one with Simon Pegg. It doesn't stand out at all. In fact, this episode doesn't really stand out. It's not one that you sort of think, oh, what's that one with Simon Pegg in? That's a good one.
Yeah.
It's very, very much sort of overlooked and forgotten, I think.
Yes. Yeah. I agree. There is another character who has a few lines, the chef guy. He does
the chef.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. Don't really need to say anything about him, do we?
No. Like you said, so that is it though, isn't it? That's the cast. There's not really anyone else in it.
Well, yeah.
Apart from the mother.
Apart from the mother. Oh, yeah, let's talk about that scene at the end. So they ended it. Oh, man. They ended it on a really bad joke, didn't they?
Cheesy joke.
What was all that about? I mean,
Time goes like that.
Yeah.
Cue the comedy face.
Oh, man. I mean, you can kind of see, it's like, we don't want to end it on a standard Doctor Who finish with just the Doctor and Rose disappearing in the TARDIS and then let's roll the credits. Let's throw a little gag in there. But it's just so cheesy.
Yeah.
And
it's funny because all the stuff with the Doctor and Rose just before that works pretty well.
It does, yeah.
Doesn't it? It's quite a nice little scene because the Doctor's so angry and stuff. And then it just gets totally overshadowed by that last gag with the mum clicking her fingers and his little brain hatch opening, and oh dear,
just the mum's face. It almost ends like one of those really bad sort of old soap cliffhangers.
All you need is wop 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 wop,
or
overdubbed over, and you got it.
Or you probably need like the EastEnders drums.
Yeah,
coming. It's got
even better.
Yeah, it's got that real EastEnders sort of. You've walked in on like I know watch EastEnders, but I imagine it's one of those scenes where somebody walks in and their other half's in bed with someone else, and it's got that do.
Well, actually, Bruno, like we haven't talked about Bruno Langley, but he was actually a soap actor, wasn't he? He was, or was he after this? Can't remember now. But he's a soap actor.
He was in EastEnders, wasn't he? I'm pretty sure he was.
What's the other one?
Corrie.
Corrie, I think he's from.
He was. Hold on.
Yeah,
I'm sure he was in it.
He might have been in both, actually. I've got a feeling, didn't he go... Let's have a look. Let's get
he's
on
in
old
Corrie,
wiki.
yeah, sorry. He's in Corrie.
Is he in Corrie?
Yes.
Because you see, I don't watch the soap, so I don't know. But I knew he was like a soap actor. Was that before? Or, yeah, see, he was in Coronation Street before Doctor Who, then Doctor Who, and then he went back to Coronation Street as well.
Right,
He's still in it, is he? Blimey.
Yeah, he's still in it, yeah.
Still in it. Wow, good.
I'll tell you what Doctor Who did for his career, though.
What's that?
After that, he went on to do Stars in Their Eyes.
Oh, no. As who?
Robbie Williams. Oh, man.
Oh,
Bruno,
wow.
I'm sorry, guys, but, we got respect for you and stuff for being in Doctor Who, but, yeah. Stars in Their Eyes in Coronation Street.
He was when I went to the BFI did a thing for the 50th of show, one story from each Doctor.
Yes.
And they had people from the show there to do a Q&A after every one. And, they had some really, really good people there. I don't know if David Tennant was there. Yes, David Tennant was at his one. So because I remember now, I went up but couldn't get into the screening, but I did see him there, if you see what I mean. So that's some really, really good people. And I only managed to get tickets for the 9th Doctor screening, and I was like, oh yes, Chris is going to be there and Russell's going to be there. Oh my god, this is going to and Bruno Langley's going to be there. But this is still awesome. This is going to be great. Anyway, by the time I got there, unfortunately Russell and Chris for whatever reasons have both cancelled.
Oh no.
The only people at my screening at the BFI was Bruno Langley and Phil Collinson.
Yeah.
And who else? One other person who I can't remember, but nobody. So the Q&A was really funny because, no offense to Bruno, but he didn't really know any of the answers to. He's clearly not really a sci-fi geek, is what I'm saying. Like, people were asking him stuff about Doctor Who, and he didn't even seem to know anything about the episode. It was a bit, it's a bit awkward. That was the one where Chris sent in a little letter. Do you remember it became a bit infamous where he sort of said, how much he enjoyed his time on the show and the character Doctor and all that. That was that where they read out his little letter.
Oh dear.
So, but a little bit disappointing. So
Bruno
roped in. Chris has cancelled Bruno. Could you come in?
Yeah. So his character as well is not written in the best light, is it? Because the story previously in Dalek, he was not that great in that either, was he? Let's be honest, he wasn't.
Well, no. I mean, the thing is, that he gets away with it in Dalek because he's not in it. Because it's such a good story. I mean, it's such a good story that you don't. It's like in this one. I mean, when you think of this story, The Long Game, I do think of sort of in my head. The first couple of things that come up are Simon Pegg and the Adam with the brain thing. They're the sort of two things I take from it. I mean, he wasn't even in the story that I went to see at the BFI. Actually, when I think about it, I don't even know why he was there. But he's because they showed the parting of the ways, so I don't know why he was there. But yeah, he's more prominent in The Long Game, isn't he?
Yes,
as a character. He's not dreadful though. He's not like his acting it's not cringy. It's just more forgettable, isn't it? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? He's not like one of the we've seen worse, let's put it that way. It's just that his character and his acting is just very it's very forgettable, isn't it?
I think you're right. It's completely forgettable. That's the thing. If you went up to if you were geeking out about Doctor Who and you said to somebody, what are some of the lines that Adam has got in The Long Game? I think a lot of people would be sitting there scratching their heads like, oh, I don't know. I know he was in this scene where this happens, but don't really remember what he said or what he does.
And he'll always be remembered as the companion that came so close to traveling. I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? So close to traveling with the Doctor and Rose.
Yeah.
And then dumped after two stories. Yeah. So Bruno Langley.
Bruno Langley, yes. Right, Rose.
Rose, she's fine. She's okay. Like you said, there are no standout moments for Rose. She does seem to be pretty much going through the motions, I think. But she's not bad. She gives a sort of decent performance. Old Billy Piper. She just, I think, old Billy. Yeah, she's okay. Doesn't really get to do a lot, does she? Really?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly that. She just doesn't really get to do much. We find that in Chris Eccleston's series, Rose does get quite a bit to do throughout most of the stories, even right from the off in the episode Rose. She's very, very active and plays a very big part. But in this one, she's real quiet almost.
It seems like she's had like an easy day on set, doesn't it?
Yeah,
because like you said, even when she's like confronted with the monster, she's not like freaking out. She's just kind of like, probably have a fag in a minute. She just looks really like, like she's having a very easy day of things, not bothered.
Yeah. So she doesn't really play a big part at all, really. But what she does, it's not bad. It's just a bit mediocre. There's no screaming or shouting. There's no running away from anything. There's no sort of emotional stuff from her in this one. It's just very ploddy, like you said,
She's just there to have the only bit she really gets is the conversation with Adam where he's like saying, he's basically trying to flirt, isn't he? He's like, you're never going to pick, me over the Doctor, are you? Yeah. I'm never going to compare to him. And she sort of does that awkward look into the sky. That's the only sort of little bit we get, really, isn't it?
That's it. Yeah.
Adam's rejection. Yeah.
So she's quite meta in this. She plays her part. She's needed as part of the story, but she doesn't really do much. Mr. Eccleston, what do you reckon?
Chris, yes, he's still very good in this, I thought. Again, just a bit under par for his Doctor, really. Because there's a bit, the bit you said where we cut, when they first go up to room 500 and they meet the editor, and then we cut to a scene to something else. I think it's Adam getting his implant. And then we cut back and they're suddenly in these chains or these sort of steel...
Shackles,
that's it. And I was thinking, well, what happened there? Because I don't think the Doctor and Rose would just stand there and put these things on. What's happened between those two scenes?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because they surely would have put up a fight or the Doctor would have got his sonic out and blown something up. But no, the next thing we know, they just stood there in these shackles carrying on their chat, and it seemed a little bit jarring to me why they were suddenly in that situation, because I was thinking, well, there's no real threat there. Why would they get into these? I don't know. But Chris, I think he gives a fair performance. Just again, there's nothing memorable there. There's no standout scene with the Ninth Doctor, and especially when you've got Eccleston and Peg in the same room, you should have a bit of dynamite going on there, really, and there isn't at all.
No, I hadn't thought about that. I agree with two actors like that.
You should have had something, It
should have been like a really good, like memorable sort of face-off between the two of them, really.
You really should.
Yeah. I agree with you, mate. It's I think he was tripped up a bit by the script. I don't think he was given anything of great substance to work with, really. I mean, the only two bits that I quite enjoyed from him were the end scene where he's really miffed with Adam.
That's the best bit.
There's a bit where he's walking towards him like very quite imposing and, really lets him have it. And then there's the other bit where Kathika is in the chair and she's fighting against, the system. And the Doctor's like, sort of commentating on what's going on as she's doing it, sort of thing. That's quite good. But yeah, other than that, no real complaints. He was still great as the Doctor. I just don't think he was given anything great to work with on this one.
No, precisely.
Yeah. But not too bad.
No, he's always good. I can't think of anything where Chris gives a particularly bad performance. He sometimes overdoes the comedy in certain episodes, but I think he's always pretty consistently good. I do like that shot you've just mentioned, actually. That's because I was saying about how the direction was so flat on this one, but that is quite good when he sort of flips at the end and you sort of get that close up of him stomping towards Adam, and he looks really like pretty peed off. Yeah,
it's good. Rightio, anything else you want to mention? Like, we always do this,
but this time there isn't.
Are you sure? Because 9 times out of 10 you'll say, "Oh, the music."
No, I mean Murray Gold. I like the music in series 1. It's still got Murray's feel to it, but it's slightly different, isn't it? It's almost a bit more experimental. No, I didn't really notice the music much in this. I did say to you before we started recording about the theme, though, and you agreed. It's so strange because when the theme kicked in on this, it sounds so flat compared to the David Tennant theme, because we were saying how good that one is recently, weren't we? So I put this one on, press play, and it's like dun 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 dun. Dun. It's like, it hasn't got that kick of the Tennant theme, which I hadn't really thought much about until I put this on.
Well, I think that's because I would imagine at the time when this was fresh and new, they probably thought it was real. It had a real kick to it, and it was sort of thundering along. It probably felt like that at the time.
Yeah, it did.
But then, because Murray Gold's one of those guys that
he ramped it up.
He really does. And when I think you and I said, and a lot of people said that when the 10th Doctor Adventures came out for Big Finish recently, when you hear Tennant's theme, especially from series 4, when you hear that come thundering through, because that's got a really good bass line, it's really good drums and extra stuff. When you compare it to this one, it is really flat, isn't it?
It did, yeah. It really
and I don't
did.
remember it being this bland. Maybe it's just because we're comparing it to the
It must
stuff.
be, because I've never ever thought that before.
Yeah.
I've never thought that there was anything wrong with it. It's just, so just when I put it on, I was just like, it sounds really flat compared to the 10th. I think it's because we've listened to the 10th a lot. Yeah. But no, this week there is no extra bits. So I didn't really make that many notes on this one at all. It's if anything, I was a little bit disappointed because I really, really enjoy this series with Chris. And this is always the story that I skip. I haven't watched it for a long, long time. So I was really almost hoping it might be that one that like that little hidden gem, or that little one that I'd sort of forgotten about. And actually, this is much better than I remember.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it wasn't. It was just as I remembered it, unfortunately.
Yeah. Right, scores then, buddy. It's your turn to go first.
I'm going to go 5.5 out of 10.
5.5.
5.5. Because I do think there's some good ideas in there. Okay. But it just falls really, really flatly.
Okay. My score is going to be a 5.
A 5. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to play it right down the middle. Because, like we've said, there's nothing hugely to complain about in terms of like the main performances of anybody. Like the Doctor and Rose and stuff. But the supporting cast, hugely wasted. And the story itself, I think because we've read behind the scenes a little bit about what it could have been.
Yeah.
The actual end result is just, disappointing.
Disappointing. See, I was trying to find my scores from the 12th Doctor stories, because I still think, even though this is under par, I still think an under par Eccleston story is still better than an under par 12th Doctor story, and I couldn't rate it any lower than that, because I will still quite happily sit there and watch this one. But I just think there is so much potential wasted in it. But that's why I gave 5.5. I'm looking to see what I gave into Forest of the Night. Oh no! I must have been out of my mind when we did our review of Forest of the Night, because I gave Forest of the Night 5.5, the same as this, and this is I definitely would watch this over Forest of the Night anytime. So yeah.
Oh dear.
So 5 and 5.5.
5.5. Good stuff. Right. So what did you guys think? We got quite a few audio reviews, and we got more audio reviews than we did text reviews. So let's kick off with that. This is Alex Kingdom.
Hello, Gary. And hello, Adam. I don't know why I said that. Anyway, the longer game is the story of Adam, and it goes like this. Did you hear that? Oh wait, nothing happens. Basically Adam's on the TARDIS and does nothing. He is one of the most unuseful companions, and I would have preferred Linda with a Y to be on this episode. Why bring her instead of Adam? Because she's actually relatable. She makes you interested. But anyway, there's a holy Jagrafessa whatever Raxophone info, and he does nothing of merit just because we need a monster. So insert monster here. But Simon Pegg's in there. That's not enough. There should be something of merit to the story, but there really isn't. And although Christopher Eccleston and Billy Piper try to save it, they can't because all they have to do is click their fingers and Adam's brain shows. I didn't even think he had a brain. Why does he exist? I don't know. And just to clarify, I'm not talking about you, Adam. You are, like, amazing compared to this Adam. But, you know, I'm going to have to get along. It's just a bland story. Nothing really happened. It's just set up. So I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10 just because it's not bad. It's not good. It's just there. See you guys next week.
Cheers, Alex.
What a cool review from Alex.
That is. Yeah, I love it. Linda with a Y. We love Linda with a Y.
Let's keep the audio stuff going. This is Daniel Fox.
Hello, Gary and Adam. Hope you're both well. So, The Long Game. I actually think it's probably the weakest episode of Series 1 for me. Although it's not awful, it's not terrible. It's just alright. It's not one I'd automatically want to go and rewatch, but it's a nice one. I think the Jaguarfest is scary, but I don't think it's actually on screen long enough. And all it really did is shout and make noises, although it is pretty creepy. Christopher Eccleston is always great in Doctor Who, so he's good in this. Billy Piper is good as well, I think. Simon Pegg, I actually think is quite a good villain. As for Adam Mitchell, let's just say, when that thing comes out his head, I hope it hurts. But I will give this episode a 7 out of 10, because I don't think it's that bad. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Daniel.
Cheers, Daniel.
Strong thoughts there. This is Owen Daly.
Hi, guys. Hope you're all well and had a good week. And The Long Game. Now, well, I don't really know where to start with this story, because it is ranked the worst of Series 1, and I would probably agree with people who say that, but then again, I don't think it's necessarily bad. I thought the Jaguarfest was a good creation, and I like the editor played by Simon Pegg, but it does fall into the weaker side of Series 1 on the Monster of the Week side, because it just didn't seem very memorable and a bit too stationary, as it didn't really have... It couldn't move, so I didn't feel it posed any threat. The episode itself, I thought the characters were a bit bland, especially Adam, and I know everyone hates Adam, so I won't really talk too much about it because my opinions are very the same as everyone else. So it's just one of those stories I wouldn't really rush back to watch again, and it's really forgettable and probably one of Russell T Davies' weakest scripts. But that's before I talk about Love and Monsters. That's probably for a different rant. But yeah, it is one of Russell T Davies' weaker scripts, and I would give it a 6 out of 10, I think. That's being generous. So, thanks and enjoy whatever is left of the show.
Cheers, Owen.
Cheers.
Yes, some consistent opinions so far on Adam.
Yeah.
Not you.
Not me.
Well, might be you.
Just to clarify.
Hold on. No, it's not you. Right.
No, it's not me.
Over on Facebook, Sammy Satine says, so, Rose insists that pretty boy Adam travels in the TARDIS with them at the end of the last episode. When they arrive in the supposedly fifth great and bountiful human empire, they find it is not how the Doctor thought it would be. What's really on the top floor, and why is it freezing below it? Well, meet the idiotic editor and his friend Max. Max, who is the very sharp teeth and needs to go on a diet. I really don't like Max. I like the concept of the news being downloaded directly to your brain, though, purely as a concept. I wouldn't want one of those brain things myself. Props to Tamsin Grigg for her performance in this. Also, Billy is okay. Chris at his usual best. I don't mind the story, just feel Max isn't that threatening. Also, this particular Adam is a bit of a douche. I prefer Big Blue Box Podcast Adam. He's much better. She gives it a 5 out of 10.
Thanks, Sammy.
Right, Lewis Palmer says... Lewis Palmer, hold on. Before we get on to the review, it's just kickstarted a thing I have to remember. Last week we said about something to do with David Tennant and his crawl back to the TARDIS, and the Ood says something to him.
Yeah.
About the song ending and something like that. Yes, our good friend Lewis jumped immediately onto Twitter and said that the Ood says, "Your song is ending, but the story never ends."
Oh, yeah.
Which absolutely drove me bonkers, I must admit, for a little while afterwards. So thank you, Lewis. Anyway, his review says, my least favourite Series 1 story. Although I never got the hate for Adam, I actually quite like him. This story is just so forgettable. I can remember some people getting covered in ice, Simon Pegg, brains, and a big monster at the end. None of the details stick out. The ending is funny, though. 6 out of 10. He says, I feel like maybe I should go and rewatch it, though, because I really can't remember. But anyway, hashtag justice for Adam.
Justice for Adam.
Right, let's do some more audio. This is Jay Kent.
Hello, Gary and Adam. Hope you're doing well. Now, personally, I think The Long Game is one of the weakest episodes of Series 1, but that's only a compliment to how good Series 1 actually is. I love episodes with political undertones, and this is probably one of the biggest of the modern era. Not only does the ep take a modern concept of television and make it unique, something that episodes like The Bells of St. John fail to do, but it used it to create a statement on how the media influences people without being too obvious, but without being too subtle as well. I feel like people give Adam a lot of hate, but I feel as if his character is supposed to be unlikable, because a bad person doesn't necessarily equate to a badly written character, and of course it's always brilliant to see Simon Pegg on his top form, and it's brilliant not to see a comedian in a comedic role. Nardo! Sorry, what was that? Santa Claus! Sorry, a bad cough. Yeah, but I feel like this is one of the underrated episodes, I could say, and it definitely deserves more love. So yeah, I hope you're having a good podcast. See you next time with your Jaguar belly news head spikes things.
Cheers, Jay.
The ever entertaining Jay Kent. Good stuff. Right, back on Facebook, Ben Smith says, the only Series 1 story I'm not very fond of. It's not terrible, just bland and forgettable. Adam is annoying, Simon Pegg is a wasted, and the monster is quite stupid. Can't remember much about it, but I'll give it a 4 out of 10.
Yeah. Spot on.
Right, more audio. This is Joe Sweeney.
Hello again, Adam. Hope you guys are well. So, The Long Game. It's not a bad episode of Series 1. I like the concept behind it all. When the Doctor, Rose and Adam arrive on Satellite 5, and also learned that there's been controlled and manipulated by the mighty Jack of Fairs by broadcasting news. It's got a fair pacing to it, but I find the editor not very threatening or not very sinister, but Simon Pegg gave a fair good performance. Christopher Eccleston was brilliant as always as a Doctor. Rose was okay, but Adam I found far too reckless, and he's such a buffoon character. I'm glad the Doctor ditched him back at his home and said he can no longer travel with him. And the Mighty Jack of Fairs was really quite well thought up. So overall, not a bad episode. So I'll give a score of a 7 out of 10. Hope you enjoyed the podcast, guys. Speak to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Cheers, Joe.
Cheers, Joe. And I'm loving the use of the word buffoon.
Buffoon. Always good.
Yeah.
I think that's our highest score for this so far from Joe. 7 out of 10. So let's do the last audio. This is Who Addicts Reviews, Matt Rowney.
Hey there, Gary and Adam. I hope you two are very, very well. Now, The Long Game is a difficult one for me to review just because I've not seen it in that long, so do forgive me. But what I do remember about The Long Game is it's not as bad as what most people think, and I think it is a perfect example as to how strong Series 1 is, but not in the way that you would think, because, in my opinion, The Long Game is the weakest episode of Series 1, and some people might not agree, but I think we can all say it's one of the weakest episodes at least. But it's still quite good, and it's still quite solid, and again, that's credit to how good and consistent and strong Series 1 is. Now, The Long Game as an episode on its own, I think's okay. I mean, the setting of, I can never remember if it's Satellite 5 or Platform 1, I always get mixed up, but the setting was quite good, and I found the whole mystery of what was happening on Floor 500 really intriguing, you know, seeing what was happening to all of the characters when they went up there, and when we did go up there, seeing all the skulls was rather gruesome. And I did find the Mighty Jaguar of the Holy Hydrodrastic Max Rodenfor quite a unique and quite a different villain. So yeah, the villain was good, the characters were good, the Doctor and Rose were good. The only two downsides I could say is I thought Simon Pegg, as good of an actor as he is, I thought the editor was a little bit too comedic, and the greatest companion in Doctor Who history, being Adam Mitchell, was just outstanding. No, I'm only joking. I'll tell you what Adam Mitchell is. He is the Jar Jar Binks of the long game. He is what Jar Jar Binks was in The Phantom Menace to what Adam Mitchell is in the long game. There we go. That's the perfect way to sum it up. But yeah, the long game's not as bad as what everyone thinks. It's a credit to Series 1, and I'd probably give it a strong 6 out of 10, which even then seems a little bit harsh. Take care, guys.
Some interesting ones there, Matt.
Yes, he's really summed up well there, because like Series 1 is strong, isn't it? So even though this is possibly the weakest episode in Series 1, it's still a good episode. So that saves a lot, I think.
Yeah. Stuff. Lastly on Facebook, Callum Johnston. Good story. Seen bad among other great stories. Adam was awful, but I like the idea of it all. And Simon Pegg was good as expected. 6 out of 10.
Yeah.
Did you have anything through on the Geeks Handbag page?
Yes, I did. Yes. Just while I find it, I just want to say how great it is that we've had so many audio clips this week, because it makes me feel like we've got a really nice, cozy little group of listeners. So thanks to everyone who sent them in, because it's been great. I've loved it. On Geeks Handbag, I just had one comment, which was from Harry Westergaard.
Oh, Harry.
He says, he says, probably the weakest of Series 1, but even then it's not terrible. Very Simon Pegg is fun, though, and it sets up for one of my favourite stories, The Parting of the Ways. Not terrible, just very average, Harry says. Which is spot on, I think, Harry. Yeah.
So I'd say there's a pretty much consistent opinion there across the board. A load of 4s and 5s. And I think the word that really pops up a lot, that's really sort of sums up for a lot of people, you and I included, is that it's forgettable.
Yeah, it gets lost.
And I hate that about Doctor Who. I would rather have like a real terrible episode or an amazing episode, but at least you remember some key things from it. And I can't, that's one of the things that I really don't like is indifference. So when you have, a high caliber show like Doctor Who, but then you have a story like this one where it's just literally is forgettable. You can remember like the elements of the story, but you can't remember like a conversation really between two characters. You can't remember, what did he say at that bit? Because I remember his head opened, but that's about it. I can't remember anything else. So, it's a big disappointment that this is a forgettable episode. But at the same time, it is what it is.
I was going to say, actually, the one that's just popped in my head, which I had forgotten about right till now, is Boomtown as well. I think this one and Boomtown are possibly the most, like you said, they sort of get lost in between the other stories. But they're both good in their own way, I think. But yeah, they kind of get trampled on with the other great stuff in Series 1, I think.
Yeah, true. Rightio. What are we going to do next week, dude?
Next week, a bit of Fifth Doctor action. This is a strange one, isn't it? This is going to be really interesting to review. Mordrin Undead we're doing next week, which is the first part of the Black Guardian trilogy. So do you know what? Even now I can hear a bit of instrumental music in my head, which is already making me smile. So I'm really looking forward to that. Mordrin Undead.
Yes, and the Black Guardian trilogy. It's one of those very loosely based sort of, if you hear people say about the Black Guardian, it's not quite what you think. The Black Guardian doesn't really play a massive
boy.
Yeah,
I can't get deep enough for that. Boy.
Yeah, so it's quite a loosely based trilogy, I would say.
It is, because I did worry about that when we first said about doing it. I was thinking, but can we do just one? But yeah, I think we can.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, we can.
So Mordrin Undead. Fifth Doctor action. If you're into your Fifth Doctor, or if you're not and you want to see it, that's a good thing. You know what's coming up. You've got like nearly a week to get out and watch it or buy it or whatever. We'd love to hear your views and opinions. It'd be really good.
Yeah.
Right, before we close the show, we're just going to announce our competition winner. So last week we told you that we're going to give away a book, the Target book, The Genesis of the Daleks. I'm going to be really picky here now. There isn't a is there? It's just Genesis of the Daleks.
Yes.
Let's be factually accurate
Let's get
with
it
this
right.
stuff, yeah?
Mm.
When you set an example, even though we're the worst at it, let's give it a go. So the Target book, Genesis of the Daleks, the reissue. We asked you, who was the cover artist for the book? And Adam, please tell us, because you're so good at pronouncing a name, who was the cover artist?
It's Chris Achilleos.
Yes.
And it must be spelled correctly. No, it's Chris Achilleos.
Chris Achilleos.
That's the one.
Was the artist. And let me just throw... So we got a decent amount of people over on Twitter and Facebook. So I've thrown them all into a spreadsheet. I'm going to hit the randomizer. Bear with. Right, we have a victor.
Who is it?
Drum roll, please. Right, winner of the book is George Garrity.
Yay, well done, George.
George entered over on Twitter, and his Twitter name is G_Unit91. So well done, George. We'll be in touch shortly after this episode goes out tomorrow. So well done, and we'll get it posted out to you. Yes, enjoy Genesis
well
of the
done,
Daleks. Yeah, and I think we're going to close there, buddy, for 97.
Okay.
Thank you for sticking with us for episode 97. So, a bit light on news, but that's to be expected, really, because the only things that are going on at the moment is Series 10 is underway. So it's good seeing the odd set pick. Maybe we'll have some more in-depth stuff to tell you next week if anything pops up. But otherwise, it's just merch rolling true.
Yeah.
So actually, yeah, next week, before our episode goes out, is the Titan release of Supremacy of the Cybermen, which is out on the Wednesday. So if you're out and about in London, or if you've got any local comic book shops near you, remember to whiz in and pick that up, because I think that's going to be a good one. I think that's going to be a good story. So that's out on Wednesday. Right, head over to the website, www.bigblueboxpodcast.co.uk. From there you can listen to all of the previous shows, and you can also subscribe on iTunes and some other places that suit your preference. And if you are an iTunes listener, if you could give us a rating and a review on iTunes, that would be absolutely amazing. Thank you very much. And you can also, from the website, go off to Facebook and Twitter and follow us and like and all that good stuff. Remember to check out Adam's channel, The Geek's Handbag, over on YouTube and Facebook. Your last video was great, mate.
Oh, cheers.
The Steelbooks.
Steelbooks, yeah.
Love a good Steelbook.
Any of them catch your eye? They've reduced the price, you know. Like, yeah, they're actually, if you can get it at the right price, they keep coming down.
Do you know what? I might have to take the plunge and get the old, the very old Peter Cushing.
Yes, they're
Doctor
nice.
Stories, because the Steelbooks look really nice of those.
You've got the best one though. You've got Spearhead, haven't you?
Got Spearhead, yeah. It's
great.
It's
a beauty.
Yeah, it's awesome. So do remember to check out Adam's stuff and give him a subscribe and a like and follow and a poke and whatever it is that you do on whatever social channel you want to do. and if you haven't booked your ticket yet for London Film and Comic Con, make sure you do that, because I have a feeling that they're going to go pretty soon.
It's coming round quick.
It is coming around quick, and also it's an excuse to bump into us.
Yay!
Hey!
Will we be cosplaying?
Oh, I'm not sure. It's going to be too warm in there, I think, for cosplay. Shorts and t-shirt, mate.
Last time.
Yeah.
Oh, last time it was sweltering, yeah.
Anyways, have a fantastic week, and we will see you next week for episode 98. But until then, my name's Gary.
My name's Adam.
And remember...